I call Derek Ball.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure to rise on behalf of New Zealand First to talk on the social... Sorry? I'll get there. Yeah, on the social assistance, portability to Cook Islands, Niue and Tokelau bill. Speaking specifically on the purpose, and unfortunately I think the Minister is mistaken, and that comes out in the purpose, and it's come out through the Select Committee, it's come out definitely through the departmental report. And the Minister always talks about the inequalities and making things equal and equitable between New Zealanders. But the point that New Zealand First is making, and I know that the other opposition parties are making also, is that yes, there is a difference with those three countries. That is the point. If the Minister is trying to compare the New Zealanders that are citizens of New Zealand, holding New Zealand passports, living in the realms of New Zealand, in those three islands, if the Minister is comparing those New Zealanders with New Zealanders living in England or Australia or elsewhere, then yes, it is different, and we understand that it is different, and we are saying that it is different, and that's why we need to change the legislation that the Minister is trying to push through. And if I put it into some context, sir, if we look at the actual explanatory note where it says the changes take into account New Zealand's close constitutional ties with Cook Islands, Niue, Tokelau, and are a part of New Zealand's commitment to support their ongoing economic and social viability, then that blows it out of the water if you put the stipulation that they are different, or if you are trying to say they are the same with all the other New Zealanders around the world, because you have just isolated those three countries specifically as part of the purpose, and now you are backtracking and saying, well, we're making it because it's the same for every New Zealander that's living overseas. That does not make sense. And that is why, New Zealand First has put the SOP in. That is why the opposition parties are going to support the SOP, because it's common sense. That's what the problem is. That's what the problem is with this amendment bill, and that's why the National Party knows that even through the Select Committee process, Alfred Naro was nodding along, and we had the majority of the submissions that came through to the committee, sir, were all on the 5 years over 60. And the reason why is because it's the most important part that affects the viability of this entire legislation, and the viability and the credibility of this government and the Minister when she stipulates what the very purpose of this bill is. It undermines the entire process. What we're looking at, sir, is a very unique situation where one of the submitters was the actual Prime Minister of the Cook Islands himself. And I think that highlights the importance of the issue. And what he brought up was the 5 years over 50. And the government cannot continue, and the Minister cannot continue to ignore that point that we are trying to make. That we need to push through with this SOP and the changes that we need to have the support of the national government. I know that John Naylor agrees with me. Yeah. With the 5 years over 50, sir. So, but what is happening with the situation now? At the moment we have, and as part of New Zealand First minority view that we put through, there are New Zealanders living in the Cooks, but are born and bred Kiwis. So, for example, one worked in New Zealand for 29 years, 26 years after the age of 20. He does not qualify for New Zealand Super because he returned to the Cook Islands when he was 46 years of age. So, if you compare this with the generosity of giving full New Zealand super entitlement to over 65,000 non-New Zealand citizens from non-reciprocal pension countries after just 10 years of residency. Where is the fairness, where is the equitability that the Minister was talking about in the purpose of this bill? Those who enter under the parent category have no requirement to contribute to this economy. But we've got people who have worked here for 25 plus years, paid their taxes, decided to move to one of these three realm islands, who are holders of our passports, who are citizens of this country, and do not meet the requirements according to this legislation for New Zealand Super. That is outrageous, and that is why we have put the SOP in, sir.
I call